maybe a question for next week now that you've moved on. But another question about the Lord's Supper, speaking of chalice versus individual glasses, how about bread that is actually blessed and broken versus wafers? Okay, so bread's a kind of a different challenge for different reasons. And the biggest challenge reason is crumbs. That's the hardest thing. So unless we're going to be baking kind of, I don't know what you call this. I've lost it. There's an Indian bread that we used to get. I don't get bread anymore. Naf? I can't think of it. Unless you're making these like fresh off the griddle, large, thin pancake breads like they would have been making back then, which don't have a crumb problem nearly like our breads do today. You got a crumb problem. And so how do you manage the crumbs, which are Jesus? And again, are we overthinking this? Maybe. But I would say I got nothing against if you really wanted to do that. Sanitation's the biggest issue is going to be with making your own bread. If you really wanted to make your own bread, and you had a group that was willing to give that time every week to doing it, right there in church that morning and bringing up the warm bread, instead of the money, for to be blessed and given out. I don't know that I would necessarily stand against that on principle. My question would always be, what are you trying to achieve with this particular little battle you're starting? Because it's going to be a battle and then some to get that kind of practice instituted. What's the end goal gain you're getting after this small skirmish? What does it achieve for you? And I don't see anything being achieved at the end of the day. Whereas, unless you're going to say that because the bread, that in theory is all of one lump still, has been broken before it's been spoken about, which, it says he broke it and said, so it was already broken when he spoke, right? Unless you're going to say that stops it from being Jesus, what's the argument for not letting it just remain what it is, what we've inherited? It seems to work pretty well. Unless you're going to argue that you must break it when he broke it. Now you're opening a Pandora's box of things, though, because now it's not just about what he said. Now it's about the actions and motions of the minister proper, right? It's not just about the bread and the wine and the words. It's about that individual cup may not, in fact, even be, right? You really want to go down that one? I don't want to go down that one. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's honest at the start, at the end of the day, because it's of one lump, which Scripture says, more or less. And maybe you got 2 lumps this Sunday, right? But by and large, when you're having a package of stuff come in the mail and it's been prepped, they're not making like all of this out of like smaller lumps. They're using one giant lump and making a bunch of small stuff. And so it's all of one lump. It's all broken, just as he said. Now here, take and eat its bread. Is it the best bread? Could it be better bread? We try not to get, there's different levels of pasty cracker too. So, all that, but it just, what's the end goal? You only have so many battles you get to fight in your life. You only get so many things you get to do in a day. You only got so much this year you can actually endeavor to change. Why this one? What other end goal does this get you to? And maybe it's just to emphasize the practice viscerally of the supper. Yes, you're doing that with innovation at the same time, and I'm just going to say you're fighting uphill, right? So I haven't shared this thought for a very long time. It's one of my absolute favorite proverbs that's not in the Bible ever. It's Sun Tzu from The Art of War, which I have read one time through, and I probably should read slowly. It's really a slow read, not a fast read, like Proverbs. In any case, this one stuck with me. He said, and it's so obvious, but it's not when you're in the middle of it. He said, use the high terrain and fight downhill. Use the high terrain and fight downhill. And ever since I read that, I have made an effort to ask myself, another way of saying it is, am I in the kill zone right now? Am I standing in the kill? Is this the kill zone? Is that there's the sniper post up there. I'm going to go stand up there right now. And then I'm going to get in the fight. So if you can assess your scenario, whether it's with your 3-year-old or whether it's with, the orange man, right? If you can assess where you're standing at that moment, are you in the kill zone or not? Or are you on the high terrain? And so I would say your suggestion, I've never seen the high terrain for that suggestion. in 5+, 8+ congregations of various levels of service, 10+ congregations of various levels of service across the country, right? I've never seen the high terrain for this one. So you got to have a good reason for this fight.